Well, hello, Kennedy kids. It's Miss Paulson. And today I'm going to be talking to you still about style. And in fact, this is going to be a short little video just to get your brain wrapped around two musical styles. Today I wanted to show you two short videos where I show you someone playing the violin in one style, which is classical, and someone else playing violin in another style, which is folk. And I'm doing this because every year when I give out assessments or tests, typically these are the two that kids get confused. They'll hear violin and they tend to assume it's classical, or they tend to assume it must be folk, and they kind of get stuck like, oh, it has to be just one thing. And something you need to know is that both of these styles love the violin. Both of them use it quite a bit. In folk music, by the way, sometimes they call the violin the fiddle. It is not a different instrument. It's the same. The only real difference is sometimes in folk, when they're playing a violin, they tend to use a lot more rosin and they tend to use more double stops. And that's when you play more than one string at a time. In this video, this is a young 19-year-old, and she's going to show you a very fancy classical piece. I won't play the whole thing, but I'll play enough so that you really get a taste of what classical is like. Give it a few more seconds. Now, with that video there, here's some things about it that are classical. You can add your own if you want. But things I would say is, first of all, just the song itself. It's a classical sounding song. You might notice she's not reading music, but I promise she learned this song by reading music. It's a very famous song. And what she most likely did is she practiced it so much that instead of reading music, she has it all in her head now. It's also very classical because you can even see the setting. She's playing, I don't know where she's playing, but it looks pretty fancy to me. And she's very dressed up for this performance. It's just a very classical type performance for sure. On the next slide, if my computer will be nice. Oh, there it goes. This is a folk group. And actually, this girl here, I think this guy is playing the violin or the fiddle. She happens to be playing viola. Viola usually is not used in folk, but these two are just doing it for fun. And you're going to hear folk music. It just has, to me, almost a mountainy sound. Sometimes it does sound like cowboy music or country music. But especially with the violin, to me, it just feels like music I would play on like a misty mountain. Now I'll keep playing, but I want you to listen if you listen, you can hear they're playing more than one note at a time. That's very typical of folk music. It's called a double stop, where instead of playing one of the strings, you're playing two or sometimes three or four of them. Take a listen for that. If the computer will be kind. also to me sounds very Irish, very English. Almost at the end. Now, other things to notice. They're in regular clothes. They're just kind of practicing at home, having fun, or in a part of their house somewhere, recording. It's not as fancy as you saw in that other video. And you can see on the wall, they've got other instruments. That's like a mandolin, other violins. I think that's a banjo behind her head. If you hear music and it's more kind of guitar-y, it has that guitar sound to it, it's probably more folk music. Whereas if you hear music and it feels really fancy, it's probably, if it's a violin, it's probably more classical if it feels like it has that orchestra sound to it. Now, for our last little bit here, and again, I'll be posting probably another video this week because I want more. Oh, stinky computer. Here's a little optional assignment. I am going to play a song for you. I'll tell you it is called Sawing on the Strings. I want you to listen to it and take a guess if it's classical or folk. Just write that in the comments. You have a 1 in 2 chance of getting it right. Is it classical or folk? Take a listen for which one you think it might be. And that's all for now. I miss you guys. Goodbye.